We're back, the War of Art. We're probably going to finish in this video. I know I said that 2 videos ago, but we're down to like a page 158 out of 165. The difference between territory and hierarchy. How can we tell if our orientation is territorial or hierarchical? One way is to ask ourselves, if I were feeling really anxious, what would I do? If we would pick up the phone and call 6 friends, one after the other, with the aim of hearing their voices and reassuring ourselves that they still love us, we're operating hierarchically. We're seeking the good opinion of others. What would Arnold Schwarzenegger do on a freaky day? He wouldn't phone his buddies, he'd head for the gym. He wouldn't care if the place was empty, if he didn't say a word to a soul. He knows that working out all by itself is enough to bring him back to his center. His orientation is territorial. Here's another test. Of any activity you do, ask yourself, if I were the last person on earth, would I still do it? If you're all alone on the planet, a hierarchical orientation makes no sense. There's no one to impress. So if you still pursue that activity, congratulations, you're doing it territorially. If Arnold Schwarzenegger were the last man on earth, he'd still go to the gym. Stevie Wonder would still pound the piano. The sustenance they get from the act itself, from the impression it makes on others. I have a friend who's nuts for clothes. If she were the last woman on earth, she would shoot straight to Givenchy or Saint Laurent, smash her way in and start pillaging. In her case, it wouldn't be to impress others. She just loves clothes. That's her territory. Now, what about ourselves as artists? How do we do our work? Hierarchically or territorially? If we are freaked out, would we go there first? If we were the last person on earth, would we still show up at the studio, the rehearsal hall, the laboratory? The supreme virtue. Someone once asked the Spartan king Leonidas to identify the supreme warrior virtue from which all others flowed. He replied, contempt for death. For us artists, read failure. Contempt for failure is our cardinal virtue. By confining our attention territorially to our own thoughts and actions, in other words, to the work and its demands, we cut the earth from beneath the blue-painted, shield-banging, spear-brandishing foe. When Krishna instructed Arjuna, the fruits of labor, when Krishna instructed Arjuna that we have a right to our labor, but not to the fruits of our labor, he was counseling the warrior to act territorially, not hierarchically. We must do our work for its own sake, not for fortune or for attention or applause. Then there's the third way, proffered by the Lord of Discipline, which is beyond both hierarchy and territory. That is, to do the work and to give it to Him. Do it as an offering to God. Give the act to me, purged of hope and ego. Fix your attention to the soul. Act and do for me. The work comes from heaven anyway. Why not give it back? To labor this way, the Bhagavad Gita tells us, is a form of meditation and a supreme species of spiritual devotion. It also, I believe, conforms most closely to higher reality. In fact, we are servants of the mystery. We were put here, on earth, to act as agents of the infinite, to bring into existence that which is not yet, but which will be, through us. Every breath we take, every heartbeat, every evolution of every cell comes from God and is sustained by God every second. Just as every creation, invention, every bar of music or line of verse, every thought, vision, fantasy, every dumbass flop and stroke of genius comes from that infinite intelligence that created us and the universe in all its dimensions, out of the void, the field of the infinite potential, primal chaos, the muse. To acknowledge that reality, to efface all ego, to let the work come through us and give it back freely to its source. That, in my opinion, is as true to reality as it gets. Portrait of the artist. In the end, we arrive at a kind of model of the artist's world. And that model is that there exist other, higher planes of reality, about which we can prove nothing, but from which arise our lives, our work, and our art. These spheres are trying to communicate with ours. When Blake said eternity is in love with the creations of time, he was referring to those planes of pure potential, which are timeless, placeless, spaceless, but which long to bring their visions into being here, in this time-bound, space-defined world. The artist is the servant of that intention, those angels, that muse. The enemy of the artist is the small-time ego, which begets resistance, which is also a dragon that guards the gold. That's why an artist must be a warrior, and, like all warriors, artists over time acquire modesty and humility. They may, some of them, conduct themselves flamboyantly in public, but alone with the work they are chaste and humble. They know they are not the source of the creations they bring into being. They only facilitate, they carry. They are the willing and skilled instruments of the gods and goddesses they serve. The artist's life. Are you a born writer? Were you put on this earth to be a painter, a scientist, an apostle of peace? In the end, the question can only be answered by action. Do it or don't. It may help to think of it this way. If you were meant to cure cancer or write a symphony or crack cold fusion, and you don't do it, you only hurt yourself, even destroy yourself. You hurt your children, you hurt me, you hurt the planet. You shame the angels who watch over you, and you spite the Almighty who created you. And only you, with your unique gifts, for the sole purpose of nudging the human race 1 millimeter farther along its path back to God. Creative work is not a selfish act or a bid for attention on the part of the actor. It's a gift to the world and every being in it. Don't cheat us of your contribution. Give us what you've got. That's the end of the book. One of the big things that I took from that, and the main idea that I took from that, just do it, so people that know me know, I wear a lot of Nike stuff. I've got my Nike jacket, which the kids at school say your tick isn't straight, whatever. I always wear my Air Maxes. I believe in the mantra, just do it. And what the author's telling us is that we all have a purpose. Some of us have the ability to do such amazing things. And I'm really lucky that I've had the opportunity to work with some gigantic minds. People that either are or will be so much smarter than me. I remember on the last day of school, nagging a bunch of teachers, talking about some students, and I used the exact phrase that these kids have no ceiling. There is literally nothing that they can do. Do not stop pushing them until you see that kid's breaking point. Because the only person that breaks is us. And we break by not growing as much as we can, by not doing as much as we can. Find your purpose and do it. I find the easiest way to start something is literally just to start it. If I've got an essay, an assignment, something I've got to do, if I just start it, it gets done. If I'm being honest, this whole YouTube stuff isn't something that I personally feel I'm naturally good at, but I needed to find a way to help develop the minds that I promised myself I would. So I've devoted my time and my efforts into building this for them, for you. Things that are worth it aren't always easy. Sometimes you just have to do it. You just have to push through. Stupid side note. One of the videos a couple parts back, I recorded it yesterday. I was 3 parts ago. I think I was wearing a black V-neck t-shirt in it. I cut the recording very quickly. My phone disconnected, and that's how I control everything. So I had to run around and press the stop button because I heard my brother coming through the side gate, and I was really embarrassed because being a character and sort of doing and presenting isn't something that I naturally do at home, and it's not something that's fostered, that's developed at home. So don't let the people around you take away what you have, because then you allow them to disempower you. It's the role of every parent to give their kids the ability to surpass them, to grow beyond them. And I hope that, sort of my role as the YouTube dad, the school dad, whatever dad I find myself to be, that I get to do that. Look at my flaws and be better. Look at the things I'm good at and do better. Find you, and be the best damn you can be.